Gateway Station appeared on the view screen like a massive wheel, spinning slowly against the backdrop of stars. It was one of the largest trading hubs in this sector, home to thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds. And right now, Jake wished they could just fly past it, but they couldn't. Kira needed to contact her people, and he had supply requisitions to file and a report to submit about the rescue. Kira stood beside him on the bridge, dressed in new clothes that Amy had replicated for her simple pants and a tunic in deep blue that somehow made her silver skin seem to glow even more. "Thank you again, Captain Miller," she said formally, "for everything you and your crew have done. I will make sure the Valorian Council knows of your kindness." Jake nodded, trying to ignore the tightness in his chest, just glad we could help. Beside him, Lisa gave him a sympathetic look. The communications officer had become friends with Kira over the past 2 weeks, and she clearly understood what Jake was feeling, even if he didn't want to admit it. They docked at Port 17, and Jake accompanied Kira to the station administrator's office, where she could use the secure communication channels to reach her homeworld. The office was crowded, with beings of all species waiting their turn. A group of tall insectoid traders argued with a harried-looking human clerk, while a family of short, furry aliens sat quietly in the corner. Kira walked straight to the front desk with the kind of confidence that made people step aside. "I need immediate access to diplomatic channels," she told the clerk, a bored-looking woman who barely glanced up. "You'll have to wait like everyone else. I am Kira of the Valorian Diplomatic Corps. This is a priority matter." The clerk finally looked up, and her expression changed when she saw Kira. "Oh, yes, of course, right this way, Ambassador." They were led to a private room with a large communication terminal. Kira thanked the clerk and turned to Jake. "You do not have to. Wait, I know you have duties. I'll wait," Jake said, sitting down in one of the chairs. Kira smiled at him, a soft, genuine smile that made his heart do strange things. Then she turned to the terminal and began the complex process of establishing a secure connection to Valoria. It took nearly an hour, but finally the screen lit up with the image of an older Valorian male with silver hair and eyes of pure gold. "Ambassador Kira," he said with obvious relief. "We feared the worst when your ship went silent." "Counselor." Kira bowed her head slightly. "I apologize for the delay. I was attacked by pirates in Sector 9. My escort was killed and I barely escaped." The counselor leaned forward. "We must know everything. Who were these pirates? What did they want?" "They were professionals." Kira said. "They knew our route, our cargo, everything. Someone gave them that information." A long silence followed. Then Counselor Tarn spoke again. "You believe this was an inside operation?" "I do. The artifacts are gone, but I survived thanks to a human patrol captain who responded to my distress call." The counselor's eyes shifted to where Jake sat just out of camera range. "This human, he saved your life?" "Yes," Kira said without hesitation. "Captain Jake Miller of the Terran Patrol Fleet. He and his crew took me aboard their ship, treated my injuries, and kept me safe for 2 weeks while I recovered." There was something in Kira's voice when she said his name, something warm and proud that made Jake's face heat up. "Then we owe this human a great debt," Counselor Tarn said. "When will you return home?" Kira hesitated. "I wish to remain here for a time to investigate the attack and discover who betrayed us." "Dangerous," the counselor said. "But wise. Very well. I will send a security team to meet you at Gateway Station." And Kira, she looked at him. "Be careful. Trust no one except Captain Miller," she said firmly. "Him I trust with my life." After the call ended, Kira sat quietly for a moment, staring at the blank screen. "You don't have to stay here," Jake said. "You should go home where it's safe." She turned to look at him. "Would you go home if someone tried to kill you and betrayed everything you work for?" "No," he admitted. "I guess I wouldn't." "Then you understand." She stood and walked toward him. "Besides, I meant what I said. I trust you, and if I am to investigate this properly, I will need allies who are not part of the Valorian diplomatic network. You want my help. If you will give it." Her violet and gold eyes searched his face. "I know I am asking much. You have already done so much for me." "But yes," Jake said before she could finish. Kira blinked. Yes, I'll help you figure out who set you up." He stood. "We have 2 weeks before we need to be back on patrol. That's enough time to at least start looking into this." Kira smiled, that bright, transforming smile. "You are a good man, Jake Miller." They left the administrator's office and made their way through the crowded corridors of Gateway Station. Jake had been here many times before, but seeing it through Kira's eyes made everything seem new and interesting. The marketplace was a chaos of sounds and smells. Vendors from a dozen species shouting about their wares while customers haggled in multiple languages. The air smelled of exotic spices cooking food, and the ozone tang of power generators. Kira moved through the crowd with grace, but Jake noticed she stayed close to him, closer than strictly necessary. They were passing through the Krogath section when 3 large reptilian aliens blocked their path. The Krogath were known as aggressive traders who didn't like competition. Human, one of them growled. "What is your business here? Just passing through?" Jake said calmly. "Looking for ship supplies." The Krogath stepped closer, its scales gleaming under the harsh lights. "This is our territory. You pay toll or go back." Before Jake could respond, Kira moved forward with a commanding presence that made all 3 Krogath take a step back. "You will show respect," she said in a voice that carried authority. "This human is my husband." Jake froze, completely blindsided by the statement. The Krogath looked at each other, then at Kira, then back at Jake. The lead Krogath bowed its head. "Apologies, we meant no disrespect to you or your mate." They hurried away, and the crowd that had been watching went back to their business. Kira turned and continued walking as if nothing unusual had happened. Jake caught up to her. "Kira, what did you just tell them?" "I told them the truth." She said simply that you are my husband, but we're not married, he said, trying to keep his voice down. "We're barely friends. I mean, we are friends, but not married friends." Kira stopped and turned to face him, confusion crossing her elegant features. "But we have completed the bonding rituals. The what among my people?" she said, speaking slowly as if explaining something obvious. "When someone saves your life without asking for payment, when they share their dwelling with you, when they share their deepest truths and stories, and when you do the same, these things create a bond. A marriage bond." Jake felt the station spin around him. "That can't be right. That's just being decent to a guest." She tilted her head, studying him on Earth. "These things do not create bonds between people." "Well, no, I mean, they're nice things to do, but marriage is different. It's something you talk about and agree to beforehand." Kira's expression shifted through several emotions: confusion, concern, and something that might have been hurt. "Among my people, these bonds are sacred. They cannot be undone once formed." "Are you saying you do not wish to be bonded to me?" "Oh," Jake said quickly, then stopped himself. "I mean, I don't know, this is all happening really fast." Kira nodded slowly. "I see. I did not realize human customs were so different. I apologize if I have made you uncomfortable, Captain Miller." The formal title felt like a wall going up between them, and Jake hated it. "Wait," he said. "Kira, stop." She turned back to him, waiting. "Look," Jake ran a hand through his hair. "This is just a lot to process," but he met her eyes. "If I had known that being kind to you and talking with you would create this bond, would I have done things differently?" She watched him carefully, waiting for his answer. "Honestly, no," he said. "I wouldn't change anything. These past 2 weeks have been the best I've had in years." "Then what is the problem?" she asked, stepping closer. "I guess there isn't one," he said, feeling a strange sense of calm settle over him. "If you're going to tell everyone I'm your husband, then I guess I am." Kira's smile returned, lighting up her entire face. "Then we are agreed." "Yeah," Jake said, smiling back. "We are agreed. Though maybe next time, warn me before you announce it to strangers." She laughed, that musical sound he had come to love. "I will try to remember, husband." News traveled fast on Gateway Station. By the time Jake and Kira returned to the Wanderer, the entire crew already knew about the husband announcement. Marcus was grinning from ear to ear when they entered the ship. "Congratulations, Captain. I always knew you had good taste." Lisa hugged Kira. "Welcome to the family." Evan Amy, who was usually serious about everything, looked pleased. "This is wonderful, though. I wish you had told us you were planning this, Captain." "I wasn't planning anything," Jake said, but he was smiling despite himself. It just kind of happened over the next few days. Jake discovered what it meant to be married to a Valorian ambassador everywhere they went. On the station, Kira introduced him as her husband to everyone they met. Other aliens reacted with interest, respect, or sometimes amusement, but they all seemed to understand what it meant. The Valorian security team arrived 3 days after Kira's initial contact. They were led by Commander Taurine, a stern-looking male with deep, blue skin instead of silver and eyes that glowed amber. He greeted Kira with a formal bow and barely acknowledged Jake at all. "Ambassador, we are here to escort you safely back to Valoria. The summit has been postponed due to the attack on your vessel." "I'm not returning yet," Kira said firmly. "I intend to investigate who betrayed us." Commander Taurine frowned. "That is not wise, Ambassador. The Council put me in charge of this mission." Kira interrupted, "And I will complete it my way. I will find out who sold information to those pirates, and I will make sure they face justice." "But Ambassador," Kira fixed him with a stare that could have frozen plasma. "I am grateful for your concern, Commander, but my decision is final. You may return to Valoria, or you may assist me. The choice is yours." Commander Taurine looked like he wanted to argue, but he bowed his head. "As you wish, Ambassador." After he left, Jake let out a low whistle. "You're kinda scary when you're in diplomat mode." Kira smiled at him. "Do you?" "Thinks it terrifying," he said. "But in a good way." They spent the next week investigating the attack. Kira used her diplomatic contacts to access station records, while Jake called in favors from other patrol captains who might have seen suspicious activity. In Sector 9, Elisa proved invaluable using her communications expertise to trace the pirates' communication frequencies, and Amy helped analyze the attack patterns from the shuttle wreckage. Slowly, a picture began to emerge. The pirates had known exactly when Kira would be traveling and what route she would take. That information had only been available to a select few within the Valorian Diplomatic Corps. Someone high-ranking, someone with access to classified mission details. Worse, the same group of pirates had hit 3 other diplomatic vessels in the past year, always taking valuable cargo and always escaping before authorities could respond. "Whoever is behind this has connections," Kira said one evening as she and Jake reviewed their findings. "In the Wanderer's small ready room, they have resources and protection." "Any idea who?" Jake asked. She was quiet for a long moment, then spoke carefully. "There is one possibility, Counselor Dren. He has opposed my peace initiatives from the beginning, claiming they make Valoria look weak. He has many supporters among the military faction. You think a counselor would commit treason? Power makes people do terrible things," Kira said softly. "And if he can discredit the peace movement by making it look dangerous, ineffective, then he gains support for his military expansion plans. They need proof, solid evidence that would stand up to scrutiny from the Valorian High Council, and getting that evidence meant taking risks." Jake's commanding officer, Captain Helen Brooks, contacted him halfway through the investigation. Her face on the view screen looked concerned. "Miller, what are you doing? I have reports that you're married to a Valorian ambassador and investigating pirate attacks. This is way above your clearance level." Kira appeared beside Jake on camera. "Captain Brooks, I can explain." Captain Brooks blinked. "Ambassador Kira, I didn't realize you were there. My husband is helping me with an official investigation," Kira said smoothly. "The Valorian Council has approved his involvement." Brooks looked between them. "Married? How did that happen? Long story?" Jake said. Brooks rubbed her temples. "Fine. But Miller, you need to file proper paperwork for interspecies marriage within the fleet, and be careful whatever you're investigating." "It sounds dangerous. We will be careful," Kira promised. After the call ended, Jake turned to Kira. "Did the Valorian Council actually approve my involvement?" "Not exactly," Kira admitted. "But they will once I explain everything." "Probably," Jake laughed. "You are going to get me in so much trouble." She moved closer, taking his hand. "But you do not regret it." He looked down at their joined hands, her silver skin against his tan human complexion. They were so different, and yet somehow it felt completely right. "No," he said. Meeting her eyes, "I don't regret any of it." Their investigation led them to a shipping company called Nova Freight that operated out of the lower levels of Gateway Station. The company had recently acquired several military-grade ships, way beyond what a normal freight operation would need. Jake, Marcus, and Kira went to investigate, posing as potential clients looking to ship valuable cargo. The Nova Freight office was dingy and poorly lit, run by a nervous human named Carl Simon who kept glancing at the door as if expecting trouble. "We transport anything, anywhere," Simon said in a rehearsed voice. "No questions asked. 30% above standard rates for sensitive cargo." Kira leaned forward, her presence commanding what kind of sensitive. Cargozumun swallowed hard. Medical supplies, experimental tech, that sort of thing. All legal, of course. Of course, Jake said. What's your success rate for Outer Rim deliveries? 100%. Simon said with false confidence. We've never lost a shipment. Never. Kira raised an eyebrow, impressive considering the pirate activity in those sectors. We have good security, Simon said. Or good connections? Marcus muttered. Simon's eyes darted to Marcus. What was that? My associate wonders how you avoid the pirates, Jake said smoothly. They seem to know everyone's routes these days. Simon stood up abruptly. I think we are done here. If you want to book a shipment, fill out the forms on the terminal. Otherwise, please leave. They left, but not before Lisa, who had stayed on. The ship managed to slice into Nova Freight's communication logs using equipment she definitely wasn't supposed to have. What she found confirmed their suspicions. Nova Freight had been in contact with Counselor Dran's office multiple times, including the day before each diplomatic vessel was attacked. We have him, Kira said, staring at the data. But we need more. This could be explained away as legitimate business. What if we set a trap? Jake suggested make Counselor Dren think there's another valuable diplomatic shipment and see if the pirates show up. Dangerous, Marcus said. Very dangerous, Kira agreed. But it might be our only chance. They spent 3 days planning the operation. Kira would announce through official channels that she was transporting recovered artifacts back to Valoria using a specific route through Sector 7. Meanwhile, Jake would position the Wanderer along that route with Marcus piloting and Amy monitoring all communications. If the pirates attacked, they would have proof of the leak and potentially capture the attackers for questioning. Commander Torin and his security team reluctantly agreed to help, providing backup in unmarked ships. The night before the operation, Jake found Kira in the observation deck staring. Out at the stars, couldn't sleep, he asked. She turned to him, smiling slightly. I am not afraid of battle, but I am afraid of what we might confirm tomorrow. If Counselor Dran is truly behind this, it will tear apart the diplomatic corps. Jake moved to stand. Beside her, sometimes you have to tear things down before you can build them better. Wise words, she said, for a farmer from New Kansas. Hey, he protested. Mock hurt him more than just a farmer. I know, she said softly. You are brave and kind and loyal, you see people not just what species they are. You risked your life to save mine, and you have risked your career to help me seek justice. She paused. You are exactly the kind of person I hoped existed when I first left Valoria to explore the universe. Jake felt his throat tighten. I don't know what to say to that. Then do not say anything. She moved closer. Just know that whatever happens tomorrow, I am grateful the universe led me to you. He took her hand like he had done so many times over the past weeks. You know, this marriage bond thing, it might have started as a cultural misunderstanding, but I think it's becoming real for me. She smiled brilliantly. It has been real for me from the beginning, Jake Miller. They stood together watching the stars, and Jake thought about how strange life was a few weeks ago. He had been bored and restless now. He was married to an alien ambassador about to spring a trap on a corrupt politician and completely happy about all of it. Tomorrow would bring danger and uncertainty, but tonight he had Kira beside him, and that was enough. Captain Jake Miller sat in the command chair of his patrol ship, the Wanderer staring at the scanner display with tired eyes. Another long shift in the Outer Rim where nothing ever happened except the occasional asteroid and the endless void of space. His crew consisted of just 3 others. Pilot Marcus Rodriguez, engineer Amy Chen, and communications officer Lisa Brown. They were good people, but after 6 months of patrol duty, everyone was getting restless. The alarm broke the monotony with a sharp beeping sound that made Jake sit up straight. Lisa turned from her station captain and picking up a distress signal bearing 270 Mark III. It's faint, and the transmission is breaking up. Jake felt his pulse quicken finally. Something, to break the routine, put it through. The speakers crackled with static, and then a voice came through, female, urgent and speaking in accented universal common. This is Valorian diplomatic vessel seeker requesting immediate assistance. We are under attack by unknown hostiles, main power. Failing life support critical, please respond. Marcus was already changing course, Captain. That signal is coming from the edge of the asteroid field if they're in there with damaged engines. I know, Jake said. Get us there fast, but careful, we don't know if those hostiles are still around. The Wanderer moved through space with practiced efficiency. Jake's crew had worked together long enough to function like a single organism. Amy diverted extra power to shields. Lisa tried to raise the Valorian ship again, and Marcus navigated through the spinning rocks with calm precision. When they reached the coordinates, they found debris floating in a scattered pattern, pieces of hull plating, scorched metal, and the unmistakable signs of a recent battle. There, Jake pointed at the scanner, a small vessel, maybe a shuttle. It's drifting. No power readings. Lisa reported life signs are weak. Just one. Bring it into the cargo bay, Jake ordered, and Marcus, tell Amy to meet us down there. With medical supplies, the shuttle was a mess. When they pulled it aboard, scorch marks covered the hull and one wing was completely gone. The hatch had been damaged in the attack, and it took Jake and Marcus several minutes to force it open with emergency tools. Inside, they found Hershey was tall, almost 6 feet, with skin that shimmered like liquid silver in the cargo bay lights. Her hair was long and white, falling past her shoulders, and her eyes, when they flickered open, were an impossible mix of violet and gold. She wore the remains of what looked like diplomatic robes, now torn and stained. Her hand moved weakly toward a weapon at her side, but she was too injured to reach it. We're here to help, Jake said slowly, keeping his hands visible. We're from the Terran patrol fleet. The alien woman studied him for a long moment, her strange eyes seeming to look right through him. Then she spoke in that accented common, "Thank you, human. I am Kira of the Valorian Diplomatic Corps." Amy arrived with the medical kit and began scanning Kira with handheld instruments. She has internal injuries, broken ribs, and significant blood loss, but I think I can stabilize her. We need to get her to the medical bay. Together, Jake and Marcus carefully lifted Kira and carried her through the ship's corridors. She was lighter than Jake expected despite her height, and she remained conscious the whole time, watching everything with alert eyes. The medical bay was small but well equipped. Amy worked quickly, hooking up various monitors and administering medicine from the universal treatment database that covered most known alien species. Kira relaxed slightly as the pain medication took effect. "You have my gratitude, Captain," she said. "How did you find me?" "Your distress call." Jake pulled up a chair. "We picked it up on patrol." "What happened out there?" "Pirates," she said with barely controlled anger. "I was traveling to the Peace Summit on Rigel 7 with a small escort when we were ambushed. They wanted our cargo, valuable artifacts meant as gifts for the summit negotiations. My guards fought bravely and gave me time to reach the shuttle." But she closed her eyes. "The others did not make it." "I'm sorry," Jake said, and meant it. Kira opened her eyes again, studying him with that intense gaze. "Valorians do not forget debts, Captain Miller. I owe you my life. Just doing my job," Jake said, uncomfortable with the formal gratitude. "Besides, you're not safe yet. We need to get you to a proper medical facility and contact your people." She nodded slowly. "Yes, that would be wise, but if I may ask, where are we?" "Outer Rim, Sector 9, about 2 weeks from the nearest major station." Kira's expression shifted to something like resignation. "Then I will be your guest for some time. I hope I will not be too much trouble over the next few days." Jake found himself spending more time in the medical bay than he planned initially. It was just to check on their guest, make sure she had everything she needed. But he discovered that Kira was fascinating to talk to. She told him about Valoria, her homeworld, a planet of crystal cities and ancient traditions. She described the diplomatic corps and her work traveling between worlds, trying to prevent conflicts before they started. "What made you join the Terran patrol fleet?" she asked him one evening as he brought her dinner from the ships. "Small galley," Jake shrugged. "Not much of a story, really. I grew up on New Kansas, one of the farming colonies. Pretty boring place. I wanted to see the universe, so I enlisted, worked my way up to captain, and got assigned to the most boring sector in known space." She smiled at that, a genuine warm expression that transformed her alien features. "I do not think it is boring. You saved my life here." "Fair point," he admitted. "So tell me more about this Peace Summit. What kind of artifacts were you carrying?" Kira's expression grew somber. "Ancient pieces from the first days of Valorian space travel, meant to show our commitment to peaceful exploration. They cannot be replaced." She paused, then added, "The pirates who attacked us were professionals. They knew exactly what we carried and when we would be traveling. You think someone set you up?" She met his eyes. "I am certain of it, but I do not know who or why." Jake felt a chill. The Outer Rim might be boring most of the time, But when trouble came, it usually came hard if Kira had enemies willing to kill for old artifacts and sabotage diplomatic missions. Then she might still be in danger. Over the following week, Kira recovered quickly. Valorian physiology was apparently quite resilient, and Amy declared her fit to move around the ship, with just minor restrictions. Jake gave her a tour showing her the bridge, the small recreation area, and the observation deck where one could watch the stars slide by in the quiet of space. She was curious about everything, asking questions about human technology, Earth customs, and why anyone would choose to live on a farming colony when there was a whole universe. To explore, he found himself opening up to her in ways he rarely did with anyone, telling her about his childhood. Working the fields with his family the day he decided to leave the long years of training, and the satisfaction he felt knowing he was keeping people safe even in this quiet corner of space. Kira listened to everything with complete attention, as if every word mattered. She shared her own stories too, about growing up in the diplomatic towers, learning 5 languages before she was 10, and the day she first left her world to begin her training. They discovered they both loved old Earth music, though Kira's favorite genre turned out to be classical jazz, which surprised him. They both enjoyed strategy games and spent several evenings playing an ancient human game called chess, which she picked up with frightening speed. Marcus noticed the change in his captain one morning after Jake had spent 2 hours in the observation deck talking with Kira. "You're smiling more?" the pilot said. With a knowing grin, Jake tried to look stern. "I'm always pleasant." "Sure," Marcus said, "but now you're pleasant and happy. It's good, looks good on you, Captain." Jake didn't know what to say to that, so he just went back to work. But Marcus's words stuck with him. Was he happy? Yes, he realized he was happier than he had been in a long time. And it scared him a little, because in another week, they would reach Gateway Station. Kira would contact her people, and she would leave to continue her diplomatic mission. He would go back to her life, and he would go back to patrol duty, and the Wanderer would feel a lot emptier than it had before. The council voted to launch an immediate investigation into Counselor Dren, but he was not arrested. Not yet. The political machinery moved slowly, even with overwhelming evidence. Jake didn't like it. One bit. A man like Dren with his connections and resources could do a lot of damage while freeze. They left the council chambers. Commander Torren pulled Kira aside. "Ambassador, I strongly recommend you remain in protective custody until this is resolved." "For how long?" Kira asked. "Days, weeks. However long it takes," Torren said. "Counselor Dren is finished, but he may try to strike back before his power is completely gone." Jake agreed with Torren, but he could see the frustration on Kira's face. She had worked so hard to expose the truth, and now she was being told to hide. They returned to the Wanderer, which was still in the secure docking bay. Lisa and Amy had been monitoring communications during the council session, and they both looked worried when the group entered. "Captain," Lisa said, "we picked up some chatter encrypted, but we managed to decode parts of it. Someone is planning something tonight." "Show me." Jake moved to her station. Lisa pulled up the decoded messages. They were fragmentary, but the meaning was clear enough. "Target is the patrol. Ship Wanderer location confirmed. Strike team ready." "They are coming for us," Marcus said. Jake said grimly. "They are coming for Kira." Kira stepped forward. "Then we should evacuate, move to a safer location." Commander Torren nodded. "I can arrange transport to a secure facility on the other side of the station." Or Jake said slowly, "We can be ready for them." Kira looked at him. "What do you mean?" "I mean, we know they are coming, we know when. So we set another trap. We catch Dren's people in the act, and we get more evidence, maybe even a confession." "That's dangerous," Torren said. "Everything we've done has been dangerous," Jake replied. "But it's worked so far." Kira studied him for a long moment, then nodded. "We do it, but we do it smart. I will not risk your crew unnecessarily." They had 6 hours to prepare. Commander Torren placed his best fighters throughout the docking bay, hidden but ready. Jake had Marcus run a full diagnostic on the Wanderer's systems. They needed the ship ready to move if things went wrong. Amy armed herself and took position in the cargo bay, while Lisa stayed on the bridge monitoring all communication channels. Kira insisted on being visible, making herself an obvious target. Jake hated the idea but understood the logic. If the attackers thought she was vulnerable, they would be less cautious. "Are you sure about this?" he asked her as they waited in the ship's common area. She smiled at him. "Are you not even a little bit?" He admitted. "Good," she said. That means you are being smart about the danger. They sat together in the quiet ship hand in hand waiting for violence to arrive. It came 2 hours after midnight. Lisa saw them first on the external cameras. 12 figures in dark tactical gear approaching the Wanderer from 3 different directions. Company, she announced over the internal comm. Everyone get ready, Jake said into his communicator. And remember, we want them alive if possible. The attackers reached the ship's outer hatch and began working to override the lock. They were good, Jake had to admit. The security system held for maybe 30 seconds before they broke through. The hatch opened and the tactical team poured into the cargo bay, sweeping with weapons raised. They found Amy waiting for them. She fired a stun blast that dropped the first attacker, then dove behind a cargo container as return fire lit up the bay. Commander Torren's people emerged from hiding, engaging the attackers in close quarters. Combat in the bridge, Jake watched through internal cameras. 3 attackers had split off from the main group and were heading for the upper decks, making for the common area. Where Kira waited right on schedule, he muttered. The 3 attackers burst into the common area. Weapons ready, and found Kira standing alone in the center of the room. Ambassador Kira. One of them said, voice distorted by a helmet, you are coming with us. Kira raised her hands, slowly appearing to surrender under whose orders. You know who's the attacker moved closer and you should have kept your mouth shut, so. Counselor Dren sent you. Kira said clearly, speaking loudly enough for the hidden recorders to catch every word. He ordered you to kidnap me. We have orders to silence you permanently, the attacker said. And that human husband of yours too, that's what? I thought Kira said. Then everything happened at once. Jake and Marcus emerged from their hiding spots behind wall panels, weapons drawn. The attackers spun, but they were too slow. Jake stunned one, Marcus got another, and Kira herself took down the third. With a spinning kick that would have impressed a martial arts master down in the cargo bay, the fight was ending. Commander Torren's team had superior numbers and training. Within minutes, all the attackers were restrained and disarmed. Jake pulled the helmet off the leader, revealing a Valorian female with military tattoos. Who are you? He demanded. Her expression was defiant. You've made a powerful enemy, human. Yeah, well, Jake said. I'm getting used to that, Commander. Torren arrived and took custody of the prisoners. His expression was grim. This is a disaster, he said. These are not random mercenaries. These are members of the Valorian military. Special operations ordered by Counselor Dren, Kira said. We have their confession on recording. Torren nodded. This will be enough. Even Dren cannot talk his way out of ordering an assassination. They transmitted the new evidence to Counselor Tarn, who convened an emergency session of the council at dawn. Counselor Dren was arrested immediately. His political allies abandoned him, and within hours, the full scope of his operation was revealed. He had been skimming money from diplomatic budgets for years, using it to fund a private military force with the goal of eventually staging a coup. The pirate attacks were just one part of his plan to destabilize the peace movement and create fear. The Valorian Council offered Kira formal recognition for her service and courage. Counselor Tarn personally apologized for not seeing Dren's corruption sooner, and Captain Jake Miller was given commendation by both the Valorian Council and the Terran Patrol Fleet for his assistance in bringing a traitor to justice. None of that mattered as much to Jake as seeing Kira safe and smiling when it was all over. They stood together in the observation deck of Gateway Station, watching ships come and go in the busy traffic patterns. So Kira said, what happens now? Now, Jake said, I go back to patrol duty in the Outer Rim and you go back to being a diplomat. I guess. She turned to face him fully. Do you want that? He met her eyes honestly. No, I don't, nor do I. She moved closer. I have been thinking there is much I could learn about humans, about Earth customs and culture. Perhaps I could request assignment as a cultural liaison. To the Terran Patrol Fleet, Jake felt hope bloom in his chest. Would they agree to that? Kira smiled. I am a hero of Valoria right now. They will agree to almost anything. I ask. And if I happen to request assignment to a specific patrol ship in a specific sector, the Wanderer in Sector 9, he said, grinning. What a coincidence, she said. Marcus appeared in the doorway looking apologetic. Sorry to interrupt, but Captain, we have new orders. Already? Jake said. Marcus handed him a datapad. Looks like someone pulled strings. We are being reassigned to diplomatic escort duty for a Valorian cultural liaison. Kira looked innocent. I have no idea how that happened. Jake laughed, pulling her close. You are absolutely shameless. You know that? She kissed him in the human way she had perfected. I learned from the best husband over the following months. Jake learned what it meant to be truly married to Kira. Not just in the Valorian cultural sense, but in the deeper way that came from choosing each other every day. She moved permanently onto the Wanderer, bringing with her diplomatic duties that often took them to fascinating places. The boring patrol route became a journey of discovery, as Kira used her position to arrange meetings with species Jake had only read about. They visited the crystal cities of Valoria, where Kira's family welcomed him with surprising warmth. Her mother's first words to him were, "You saved our daughter and made her happy. You are family now." They returned to New Kansas, where Jake's parents met their alien daughter-in-law with the practical acceptance of farmers who had seen stranger things. His father just shook Kira's hand and said, "Welcome to the family you like." Corn. They faced dangers too. More pirate attacks, political intrigue, and at least one incident involving a misunderstanding with a territorial species that almost started a war. But they faced everything together. The crew of the Wanderer adapted to having an ambassador aboard. Lisa and Kira became close friends. Amy taught Kira human cooking with mixed results, and Marcus never stopped teasing Jake about accidentally getting married. A year after that first rescue mission, Jake found himself back in the observation deck with Kira watching the stars. "You know," he said, "I've been thinking." "Dangerous," Kira teased. "I'm serious." He turned to face her. "We did this whole marriage thing backwards. You claimed me before I even knew what was happening, and I just kind of went along with it." She looked worried. "Are you regretting?" "No," he said quickly. "Not at all, but I was thinking maybe we could do it again properly this time. The human way." "What do you mean?" Jake pulled out a small box from his pocket and opened it, revealing a simple ring with a small diamond. I'm asking you, Kira Valoria, will you marry me again?" Her eyes widened with understanding and delight. Then she laughed, that beautiful sound he loved. "Yes, Jake Miller of Earth. I will marry you again and again and as many times as you wish." The trap was set in Sector 7 exactly as planned. Kira broadcast through official diplomatic channels that she would be transporting recovered artifacts aboard a small transport vessel with minimal escort. The bait was perfect, valuable cargo, limited security, and a predictable route. Jake positioned the Wanderer behind a large asteroid where their sensors could monitor the area without being detected. Commander Torren's security ships were scattered throughout the sector, also hidden and waiting. "Now we wait," Marcus said from the pilot's seat. Liza monitored the communication frequencies, looking for any signs of pirate chatter, while Amy kept the weapon systems ready, just in case. Kira stood beside Jake's command chair, her posture tense, but controlled. She wore light armor that the Valorian security team had provided and carried a plasma pistol at her side. "Okay?" Jake asked quietly. She nodded. "I am simply hoping we are wrong, even though I know we are not." 2 hours into the wait, Lisa's console beeped. Captain, I'm picking up multiple ships entering the sector. 6 No-7 vessels moving fast toward the transport. "There we go," Jake said. "Marcus, get us into position, but stay out of sight." The Wanderer moved silently through space, closing the distance to where Kira's decoy transport floated. The pirate ships were sleek and well-armed, much better equipped than typical raiders. "They are military vessels," Kira said, studying the sensor readings. "Modified, but definitely military." Gradion of the pirate ships broadcast on an open channel. "Attention transport vessel. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Surrender your cargo, and you will not be harmed." The transport, which was actually being piloted remotely by one of Commander Torren's people, responded with a panicked message. "Please don't shoot. We are just a diplomatic transport. We will comply." "Good acting," Marcus muttered. The pirate ships surrounded the transport and began docking procedures. Jake watched the sensors carefully, waiting for the right moment. They needed the pirates committed to the boarding operation before springing the trap. 3 ships docked, 4 still circling. Jake said into the comm commander, "Torren, are you in position?" "Affirmative." Torren's voice came back. "Ready on your signal, Captain." Jake glanced at Kira, who nodded. "Now," he said. The Wanderer dropped from behind the asteroid with weapons hot, while Commander Torren's security ships appeared from 3 different directions. Boxing. "In the pirates. All pirate vessels. This is Captain Jake Miller of the Terran Patrol Fleet. You are surrounded. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. For a moment. Nothing happened. Then chaos erupted. The docked pirate ships attempted to disconnect. While the circling vessels opened fire, the Wanderer rocked as a blast hit their shields. Emmy returned fire with precision shots targeting engines, rather than trying to destroy the ships they needed. Prisoners who could testify, one pirate vessel tried to make a run for it, but Commander Torin cut it off with a perfectly timed intercept. Another spun wildly as Amy's shot disabled. Its main thruster Marcus danced the Wanderer through the battle, avoiding incoming fire while positioning for Amy to take shots. The pilot was grinning, loving every second of the action. 2 pirate ships are attempting to flee Sector North. Lisa called out. Commander Torin broke off to pursue them, his security team moving with military precision. That left 4 pirate vessels still fighting. One managed to disconnect from the transport and immediately launched missiles at the Wanderer. Marcus rolled the ship and the missiles shot past, exploding harmlessly against an asteroid. Jake held onto his chair, trying not to think about how close that was. Kira stood firm beside him, watching the battle with tactical focus. Target their bridge. Amy suggested, if we can disable their command systems, they will have to surrender. Do it, Jake ordered. Amy fired a concentrated burst that struck the pirate ship's bridge section. Sparks and debris exploded from the impact, and the ship went dark, drifting without power. The remaining 3 pirate vessels, seeing how badly the fight was going, finally powered down their weapons. All ships stand down, came a voice over the comm. We surrender. Commander Torin returned with the 2 fleeing vessels now disabled and under guard. Within an hour, all 7 pirate ships were secured with their crews in custody. Jake, Kira, and Commander Torin boarded the lead pirate vessel for interrogation. The captain was a scarred human woman named Patricia Hayes, who looked more annoyed than worried about being captured. Patricia Hayes, Jake read from her identification, formerly of the Terran Merchant. Marines dishonorably discharged 5 years ago. You've moved up in the world? Hayes shrugged. It's a living. Who hired you? Kira demanded. Who gave you the information about diplomatic shipments? Hayes laughed. You think I'm going to tell you that'll be dead? Within a day if I talk. Kira moved closer, and there was something in her expression that made Hayes stop laughing. We have evidence linking your operations to Counselor Dren of the Valorian Diplomatic Corps. If you cooperate and testify, we can protect. You has considered this, then shook her head. You're out of your mind. Dren has people everywhere, military, intelligence, security. I talk and I'm dead. Protection or no protection, then you will spend the rest of your life in a Valorian prison. Kira said, we have you on 7 counts of piracy, 4 counts of murder and conspiracy to commit treason against the Valorian Council. The confidence drained from Hayes' face slowly. Wait, treason? I didn't sign up for that. I was told these were just cargo runs, that nobody would get hurt. But people did get hurt. Kira said softly. My entire escort team died because of your attack. Hayes looked away, jaw clenched. Jake spoke up quietly. Look, Patricia, you're not the real villain here. You're just a tool. Someone used you to hurt people and make profit. That someone is Counselor Dren. Help us prove it. Help us take him down, and maybe you get a lighter sentence. Maybe you get to live. Hayes was silent for a long time, then she finally spoke. Dren contacted me 6 months. I go through intermediaries. He provided routes, cargo manifests, security details, everything we needed to hit the diplomatic ships clean. He paid well and promised political protection. If anything went wrong, will you testify to this? Kira asked. If you can actually guarantee my safety. Hayes said, yeah, he'll testify. He'll give you everything, dates, payments, communication records, the whole operation. They secured Hayes' testimony and transferred her to Commander Torin's most secure ship, then Jake, Kira, and Commander Torin returned to Gateway Station to present their evidence to the Valorian Council. Counselor Tarn appeared on the secure channel, his expression grave when he heard their report. Counselor Dren has been a respected member of this council for 20 years. These accusations are supported by evidence. Kira interrupted. She transmitted the files. We have communication records, financial transactions, and testimony from the pirate captain herself. There was a long silence as Counselor Tarn reviewed the data, his expression growing darker with each page. This is deeply troubling. He finally said, if this is true, then Counselor Dren has betrayed everything we stand for. He paused. Kira, you have done well, but this investigation must Now be handled by official channels for your safety. I am ordering you to return to Valoria immediately. With respect, Counselor, I decline. Kira said, I started this investigation and I will see it through. Kira, Counselor Tarn's voice was sharp. This is not a request. Dren is dangerous if he realizes what you have discovered. He already knows by now, Kira replied. The pirate captain will have missed her regular check-in. Dren's. People will investigate and they will discover what happened. We cannot wait for official channels, Counselor. We must act. Now Jake watched Kira stand her ground against her superior and felt a surge of pride. She was magnificent when she was in full diplomat mode. Counselor Tarn seemed to realize he was not going to win this argument very well, but you will have full security support. I am sending Commander Torin and his entire team to protect you, and Captain Miller. Jake straightened. Yes, sir. You have proven yourself a capable officer and a good husband to Ambassador. Kira, the council recognizes your service. Thank you, sir. Jake said, trying not to show how surreal this all felt. The call ended and Kira turned to Jake with a tired smile. One more battle, husband. Yeah, Jake said. But this one's going to be the hardest. Yet they gathered the crew and Commander Torin's team to plan their next move if Counselor Dren knew they were coming. He would be preparing defenses, political, legal, and possibly violent. We need to move fast. Marcus said, strike before he can cover his tracks, and we need to go public. Lisa added, make sure everyone knows what he did so he can't make us disappear quietly. Kira nodded. You are both right. We will present our evidence at the next council session in 3 days. It is broadcast across all Valorian worlds. He will not be able to silence us in front of billions of witnesses. 3 days, Jake said. That's a long time to stay alive when someone powerful wants you dead. Then we stay together, Kira said, and we trust no one outside this room. Next 3 days were tense. They moved the Wanderer to a secure docking bay and set up a rotation of guards. Nobody slept much, and every unexpected noise made everyone jump. Jake barely left Kira's side, and she seemed to draw strength from his presence. They reviewed their evidence a dozen times, making sure every detail was perfect. Every source verified. On the morning of the council session, Kira dressed in formal diplomatic robes, silver and blue with the seal of Valoria embroidered on the chest. She looked every bit the ambassador, confident and powerful. Jake wore his dress uniform feeling awkward and out of place, but Kira took his hand and smiled. You look very handsome, husband.